Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan, and unfortunately this one is a moan, and it's quite depressing. It's about Reform UK, but not really the main party as much as Reform UK Scotland, who seem intent in scuppering the chances of tactical voting in Scotland and the success, and people voting for them may have gifted the SNP some seats if they should vote for them. And what I've came across in the last sort of 12 hours is highly depressing about the Reform UK Scotland, not the Reform UK, who I don't mind. And in normal circumstances, I would probably consider voting for. This is unique to a Reform UK Scottish branch. And it's about a story that I was sent and about a guy in a newspaper, and I thought that cannot be right. This is a unionist party that are going to attract loads of unionist votes who could potentially scupper the tactical voting efforts of other unionists who wish to destroy the SNP. Now, before I go into the story that I didn't believe, I'm just going to show you a short clip of the man discussed, a man called David Kirkwood, who is the Vice Chairman of Reform UK in Scotland. Please watch this and listen carefully.
I voted yes for independence in 2014, and I published that fact. Yet here I am standing for Parliament for a unionist party. Have I changed my mind over independence? No, I haven't. I still support independence for Scotland.
So that's a character that we're talking about. A man who I'm led to believe is a unionist, but believes in an independent Scotland, and I can't quite figure that out. But the story gets worse, much worse. I was pointed to a newspaper article that at first when I read the headline I thought, and what? So what? It was a newspaper article about Reform UK's Deputy Scottish Chairman who'd supported independence in 2014 and voted for SNP for 40 years. And I'm like, and what? I know a lot of people that were nationalists who voted for independence and voted for SNP. They're actually now bigger unionists, and I should suggest, than me. Because some of them are actually standing up for candidates at this election as unionists who once supported the SNP and did vote for independence. And I have utmost respect for these people and their courage in not only changing their opinion, but standing up as a candidate in an election on a ticket of unionism. So the part of this story that was pinpointed to me really didn't mean anything to me. So what? So what if the Scottish Deputy Chairman of Reform UK supported the SNP and supported independence? If he now is a unionist, like many people I know, I would have respect for him. But inside that story, there was some frightening pointers that I had to investigate. And what he says here is there was a suggestion that they wouldn't counter-incise ECO against another referendum, not until 2039, which would be 25 years since the last one. And again, this is a notion that I don't have any problem with if you wouldn't act against one. But that's when the trouble started for me, because I started digging into what this guy's saying for clarity and where the party actually stand. So I came across other articles and other things that this man had said. Now let me just share them with you. So there was a bit about the countenance, which could be read two ways. I totally understand that. But later on, he says, and he pulls in Richard Tice, who is one of the, I think he's second only to Nigel Farage now, he was the leader until Farage came in, and now he's just his second in command. And he also said that the party led by Richard Tice and seen as major threat to Conservative hopes across the UK was attracting support from almost as many disgruntled Nats in Scotland. Reform is even backing another independence referendum, although not until 2039. And you better believe this is the bit that got my attention. Because he's not now saying we would not stand in the way of a referendum, which is democratic, I suppose. But they are actually recommending one and going to offer our independence. referendum in Scotland in 2039, should they become power at Westminster, which is not a silly thought when you consider the growth of that party since Nigel Farage jumped in the bandwagon. And he also brought Richard Tice into the conversation. This is Richard Tice that was recently in a newspaper saying that he actually didn't know how many candidates endorsed by Reform had voted yes in 2014. That suggests to me that this is a party that doesn't know who's standing for them. And I have concerns about that. I have vast concerns about that. Because this is Sir David Kirkwood, as he goes about on Twitter, in January of this year, suggesting, and not a one-off now, this is now the second time, because we have it in the previous newspaper article, and here we have him on his Twitter feed, saying, we agree, that's why Reform UK Scotland will offer another independence referendum, but not until 2039. This is a guy who's the vice chairman of, apparently, a unionist party in Scotland. Are you concerned yet? Because you should be. Then what happened, I was in some Twitter spaces discussing this, actually discussing it with a Reform candidate, to be fair, who was brave enough to come on and discuss it, and other people who were Reform supporters who had concerns. So the Reform UK Scotland official Twitter account, X account, retorted, we are 100% a unionist party, don't believe second-hand gossip, lies and twisted words. Then they go on to say that Scottish Tories and Scottish Labour are set up devolution, so they're bad people, which really isn't the point. We're discussing your party, not others. And the only referendum we should even consider should be devolution continuing its current format. That is not what your Scottish deputy chairman has said. Then, the very space that I was in, this Reform UK Scotland official Twitter feed came in because we were discussing it and said this: it's frankly absolute nonsense. Twisted words from desperate people worried about their relevance. We are 100% a proud unionist party, unequivocal. What I would suggest Reform UK Scotland do, if Reform UK, the parent party, are not already doing so, is look into the mess that they have created, not as they word it, desperate people worried about their relevance. This is a mess that their vice chairman in Scotland has created, and I would strongly suggest that they go and sort out their shite, as opposed to trying to deflect to Tories and Labour, doing what political parties often do, and furthermore, pointing the finger at people they describe as desperate and irrelevant. So they've got the problem, no me. But I have got a massive problem, because I am absolutely disgusted and actually quite emotional for Scottish Unionists who actually thought in their numbers eventually we've got a unionist party in Scotland that will look after us, to find out their very vice chairman in Scotland wants another referendum. These people need to sort this out, and if they don't, within the next 24 hours when we're all going to the polling stations, I could not let anybody, any unionist, any Scottish unionist that's suffered being a Scottish unionist for the last decade in this country, consider voting for them without knowing the truth. Because I thought we had suddenly found a genuine unionist party that the Scottish people could get behind when the time was right. I don't believe it was just now, because I believe in tactically voting the SNP to death. And now, I don't think it's ever, because they are wanting a referendum in Scotland. That is not the job of unionist parties, and they'd argue, but the Tories gave us a referendum. No, the Tories agreed to a referendum, which is totally different from proposing a referendum. That's what nationalist parties should be doing. That's their job. So don't blame the Tories for agreeing to a referendum that the Unionists won, because that's totally different from what you're doing. And don't blame the Labour Party for giving us devolution, when it might not have been the greatest thing in the world. but it's a far better thing than putting a referendum on the table and claiming you're a unionist party. What do I think? I'm going to make a big claim, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, so I'll make that clear right now. But I think there's enough evidence to suggest there could be a possible infiltration by nationalists into reform. Because any party taking some unionists off, Labour or Lib Dem or Tories, can help the SNP get seats. And I might be wrong, and I'll put my hands up and say right now, I have no evidence other than what I see in front of me, which may be circumstantial, because I've seen a lot of strange things happen even in my own YouTube channel since before the referendum got put up, where these loads of accounts would come up without names, just letters, user such and such, just coming in and putting 2 words into the comments, vote reform. Every time I put out a video about tactical voting to take votes away and destroy SNP. And all these comments would appear with just vote reform, vote reform, vote reform. No more comment than that. Numerous times. Don't go looking for them, because I deleted them as quick as they came in and kept my mouth shut. And then when Farage jumped in, that extended. There was more and more coming in. As soon as I put a video out, more and more comments. Vote reform, vote reform, vote reform. And I actually couple that to what this guy's saying. He's still, there is own words in a video saying he's a nationalist and he believes in independence. Put in the words of the guy who I believe is the vice chairman of the overall party, Tice, who says he's not got a clue many nationalists are in his party. And then couple that together with this evidence here that tells you that Reform UK in Scotland, and I can see a difference between Reform UK and Reform UK Scotland, the Scottish branch, vice chairman, wants a referendum. And if you want to vote for that, you crack on. But I can't advocate it. If you enjoyed the video, probably harsh words, please give it a thumbs up. But if you agree with the video and you have the same concerns as me, please spread it far and wide. Make sure everybody that's a unionist that's getting a pencil in a ballot box tomorrow has this information in front of them. And if they still feel they can go and do the best thing for the union by voting for this party, while this party don't know what to do with this person and this thing running through their party, then if you still want to vote for them, then that's your shout. But at least you'll be informed. So, enjoyed the video, as I say, thumbs up. If you're not already done so, please consider subscribing, but most importantly of all, if it's possible, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.